Hi there, Stampers. This is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Here today we're going to play with the new Peaceful Poppies suite, and that consists of two different bundles, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But we're going to make these two cards, and I'm going to show you how the two bundles coordinate together. I want to thank you for joining me and welcome you to Sale-A-Bration. If you're not familiar with what that is Stampin' Up's biggest sale of the year. So we just released our brand new January to June 2020 mini calendar. And you'll notice they've given it a bit of a flip. It's now horizontal instead of portrait. And this allows us to open it up this direction. And inside, in the front, they're going to give you a bunch of pictures of our bundles. There are 20 bundles in this new catalog, and they're all featured right here in the front. So if you're wondering what's in there, this is where they are. They are put in the front because you want to check and see that you want these bundles, because if you get them the first time they appear in a catalog, they're going to be 10% off. So you can save money by buying the dies and the stamp set together. But that's only the first time they're shown in a catalog. So you want to grab them while they're available at the discount. They're also going to have various spreads on what we call suites. A suite means that they have designer series paper, ribbon, embellishments, a bundle, and they're all going to go together. And so in this bundle, they're working with Valentine's Day, obviously, or love. It could be just an I love you, an anniversary, a wedding, just any kind of occasion where you're celebrating being in love. And everything coordinates together beautifully. If you just wanted the stamp set, just wanted the bundle, or just wanted the punch, they are available separately. But for coordination, they have created an entire suite. So we have that one, and then we have the Parisian Blossoms suite. Now this is where they start getting into the fun stuff. They created this one to have two different bundles that coordinate together. And this is similar to what we're doing here with our Peaceful Poppies suite, is that these are both kind of Paris themed and are designed to work with one another. So you can use a designer series paper in both, and also the stamps and framelits will move back and forth as well. Hi, Patricia. So of course we've got our regular catalog pictures. Here's our Peaceful Poppies. This is the one we're going to be playing with today. Look at all those beautiful, luscious colors. With all the snow we have outside, I'm just thrilled to be able to play with bright colors. And speaking of colors, Stampin' Up! Has told us what colors are used in this suite. So if you're looking to buy ink, markers, embellishments, cardstock, things to go with this suite, these are the colors you're going to be looking at. And remember that any color that you pick with Stampin' Up, your markers, your ink pad, your ink refill, your cardstock, your embellishments, everything's going to be exactly the same shade. And it's even going to blend in with our designer series papers. And that's the beauty of Stampin' Up, is that everything matches together. And then by creating these suites, they're just making it even simpler for us, because this two stamp sets and two sets of framelits will all work together as well, giving you like an unlimited number of options. And then here we have our close-ups, and of course 99% of our stamps in our catalogs are actual size. So anytime you're looking at a catalog live in person, you will note that the exact same size that this is in the picture is what it's going to be in actual real life. And then if they've got a white behind them like this, that means that there's a coordinating framelit that's going to go with it. If there's a tan behind it, that means there's a coordinating punch that goes with it. So it's just all about coordination in our beautiful mini catalog. They're going to start calling them minis once again. They used to call them that in the past, and then for a while it was the occasions catalog and the holiday catalog, but they're going back to the idea of minis. And then of course in the back we have something else that's new. Of course we have all of our kits, And so there will be pages with more ideas on kits and putting those together. Lots of great ideas. But the new thing is in the back, they have the catalog at a glance. And what this means is that all of our stamp sets are going to be listed right here in one place. So every stamp set that's in this catalog is going to be here, as well as all the other things. They're going to list all of the punches that are available in this catalog, all of the dies that come in this catalog, embossing folders, ribbon, accents and embellishments, paper, packaging. It's all summarized right here in the back for you. How cool is that? And then, of course, there's always the benefits of becoming a hostess and getting to Stampin' Rewards, and of course, exclusive stamp sets that are available. Now, remember, when I said Sale-A-Bration, that's part of the exciting part, is that during Sale-A-Bration, if you decide to become a demonstrator, now don't freak out. You don't have to actually go out and demonstrate, because 90% of our demonstrators are all what we call hobby demos or happy shoppers. And that means that they just signed up with the idea that they wanted to buy their stuff at a discount. They had a really long wish list. They didn't want to pay full price, and they signed up to be a demonstrator. You can do that as a one-time only, buy the kit and you're done. Or you can enjoy the discount for a minimum until if you signed up now, it would be until July 31st. Or you can continue on after that, continuing to receive your discount. If you want to build a business, I'm all for that. That's what I do with it, and I'd love to help you build your business. But if you just want to buy at a discount, I'd love to help you with that as well. And one of the things they're offering as an additional enticement, normally our kit, you choose $125 worth of product, you pay $99, they ship it to you for free. Great deal, right? Well, during Sale-A-Bration, they're going to up that deal a little bit. They're going to give you this handy dandy little trimmer. A lot of customers have been asking for a guillotine trimmer, and so they did design one. And as a sign up, you get this new trimmer, a 6x6 sampling of a bunch of the designer series papers that are in this catalog, and you get to pick any other stamp set out of the catalog for free. You just add an additional stamp set. And it can be any stamp set out there. I think the most expensive one is $45. So you can get over $200 worth of product for $99 with a 20 to 25% discount from now until the end of July. So I think that's a pretty good deal. But if you're saying, nope, I want to stick with full price, I'm fine, I don't want the pressure, just let me buy my stuff, you also get free stuff. During Sale-A-Bration, which will run from January 3rd to March 31st, for every $50 that you spend in this catalog or our annual catalog, just any current Stampin' Up! Stuff, you will have the ability to earn additional exclusive stamp sets that are only available for free. There are stamp sets, there are kits, there are designer series papers, there is embellishments. All these things are options. And for every $50 that you spend, you get a level 1 freebie. For every $100 that you spend, you can either get 2 level 1s or you can get one of the level 2. So say you spent $150, you can get this stamp set and this set of dies added to your order totally for free. I mean, what a great deal, right? But these things are going to be a limited release, and so if there's something in here that you want, you're not able to buy it. We do not offer these things for sale. They're only an option to earn for free. All you have to do is place an order, but you want to do that before they run out, because all of these things are a limited supply while we have them, and once they run out, they're gone. This is if you have a $300 party order, whatever, even if you had a catalog party, say you wanted to just gather your friends together and a few of you are going to group your orders together. If they come to $300, you not only get your normal Stampin' Rewards, all of your freebies, you would also earn this little ladybug stamp set. So lots of really cool stuff. See, here's the starter kit. All this designer series paper, the trimmer, plus the extra stamp set are all an add-on, only for Sale-A-Bration. So this will expire the end of March. Now remember I said some of these things were going to run out? Well, don't fear, because in February, they will add on. We will get a second release of more Sale-A-Bration items. So we don't know what they are yet, but we know they're going to be exciting. So back to our cards. Like I said, I'm playing around with the Peaceful Poppies suite. And so that includes these two bundles. And so we have painted poppies with the painted labels. So this is one bundle. And then the Poppy Moments and the Peaceful Moments are another bundle. Now some people have said, hey, wait a minute, how come the flower shapes are in this one and the frames for the frame and the sentiments are in the other one? Why aren't they switched? Well, they're not switched because the whole idea is if you had this entire suite, you have all the images and all the sentiments to create an abundance of cards. And you can do congratulations, thinking of you, deepest sympathy, happy birthday, thank you. I mean, the ideas are endless. And you can coordinate the two things together. And when you look at these things, the fact that this framelits that goes with the sentiments set has poppies, they don't fit. These poppies are much bigger and they're meant to be cut out as die cuts and layered together like this. If you're looking for a die cut that's going to cut these out, they come in the bundle, the dies that are in this bundle. So there are dies in here that will cut out these poppies. So they're not backwards, they're just coordinating. These are the ones that will cut out those. And there's also some sentiment things, and we're going to play around with those today too, because I wanted to show you just how versatile this is. So we're going to actually make these two cards, but I'm going to show you some additional uses that we can do. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I guess I should also show you that, as we were seeing in the catalog, this comes with beautiful coordinating designer series paper as well. So in addition to both of the bundles, the embellishments, etc., we also have the paper. And we will be using some of that in our cards today, as you can see. This is a really super simple card, and all I did was I took the designer series paper and I cut it in half. So it made it a 6-inch by 12-inch piece. Well, this isn't quite 6 inches. This is 5 1/4. So what I did was I cut 1/4 inch off the top, and then I just cut off the rest off the bottom. I think it ended up being 1/2 inch. So I had my 5 1/4, and then because it's 4, I get 3 out of this. So I can make 6 cards out of this one piece of paper. And don't throw away those little bits I'm telling you to cut off, because that's what I used in the background. Remember when I said that on the bottom I cut off 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch? So that I just flipped upside down, and it has this variegated color on the back, and that's what I used for my strip right here on the bottom. I mean, so we can still use that. And then you could take it on the inside, and we could maybe layer it on the inside and create this as, you know, an extra piece in here. You can, I don't know, put it across the bottom. I mean, there's lots of uses for these little strips of paper, so don't necessarily throw them away. I'm not telling you to hoard things, but just take a look at what you have and see if there's a way that you can use it. And if not, throw it away, but, you know, think, you know, you want to make sure that the outside coordinates to the inside, maybe a little bit on the envelope. You never know. So for this card, like I said, I took that designer series paper and I cut it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. I have a Poppy Parade card base. So this is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and we're scored at 4 1/4. Burnish that with a bone folder. And then I'm just going to place this on top. Now we can just attach that with snail. Oh, I probably want to first, what I want to do is I want to put this across the front. And I know if I cut it down to 4 inches, it's going to fit. But I can also lay down my strip of adhesive, line this up over the top, and then I can come here from the back and trim off the excess. And so now I have enough for my third card. Now for this sentiment, this came out of Peaceful Moments Sentiments. And I've got that mounted on a block. And like I said, this one was done on our layering ovals. And if you have ovals, circles, of course, we want to use our supplies, right? We're buying all these things because we can make all these beautiful cards. On this card, I was thinking we would use the dies that come with the suite. Here's a little frame that I bet the thank you is going to fit perfect in. And this outside frame would be for a bigger sentiment. It's not going to fit on the front of my card for the way I have things laid up. This is just a little bit too big, I feel, for the bottom. But this was a perfect size. But I like my sentiments matted. And so I can just stamp on this. Let's do Gorgeous Grape. And you could use any of the colors that are in this. Like I said, in the catalog, they're showing you all the colors that coordinate in here. You've got your Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Poppy Parade. All of them would work. But I'm just going to stamp thank you on this one. Now see, we could put it on there just plain. It looks okay. You could also sponge the edges. But you can take any of these shapes. It's the same exact shape. I'm going to cut it down the middle. And then you can mount it this way, giving you a little bit of a color lift top and bottom. We can also cut it the other way if we wanted the color lift on the sides. So you could go that way. That would look really pretty. Or you could take the little die that cuts out these fancy little borders and maybe even put a border across the top and then across the bottom. I mean, if you're looking for something a little more fancy, you know, that might work. Or another option is you can take and just cut off these sides, the little part that bumps out, and then you can mount it this way. Now if I wanted to, I could also take my scissors and, you know, or maybe this tiny trimmer. Maybe the trimmer is the thing you want to be using for this, because this will cut off little tiny strips. And let's see, let's get this lined up. My fingers out of the way. Gelatine trimmers. But now that I did a little bit off all the sides, look. Now I'm framed all the way around. We could even round the corners, say. So just try to think about things as you're playing with them, you know, and what can I do with this? And how can I make it go together? I mean, and the ideas are just endless. You know, you can follow my card exactly the way I made it, or you can just play around with it and say, you know, I liked this other idea. I think I'm going to try this. That's part of the fun of creating. You know, everybody says, well, I'm not crafty. I'm not artistic. I'm definitely not artistic. I'm crafty. I mean, I can look at Pinterest and I can follow things. I'm good with that. I've been stamping long enough that now I'm a little familiar with how things sometimes work. So I'm able to do that too. But just have fun with it. I mean, that's the whole point of Stampin' Up! Is that this is our stress buster. This is how we relax. And it's also how we share our craftiness or our feelings with others. I mean, it really means something special to get a handmade card in the mail. It's just like giving a little piece of yourself, and people like that. And I find that if you send handmade cards, they're more likely to keep those. I have more people tell me that they hang on to my cards year after year after year because they like the fact that they not only got something in the mail, which is kind of rare nowadays, but also that it was handmade, that I cared enough to make something for them myself. Let's come back to card, and I think I'm going to just stamp a little flower in the corner. And then, let's see, let's get that sentiment set back here again. We said thank you, so you shouldn't have, but I'm glad you did. How about that? That'll go with it. Now I'm going to line this up on my grid paper. This is something we sell in the catalog. And I'm going to make sure that that's straight along a line on my grid paper. Then I'm going to make sure my block is straight along the grid paper and pick it up. So chances are, fingers crossed, it's going to be straight. If you have issues with that, maybe the Stamparatus is something that you want to consider, because the Stamparatus has grid lines on it that you can also use to line up your sentiments, and that you do that totally before you even stamp. And because it's on the plates, it stays put. There's really not a way to goof it up. So there's card number 1. Pretty simple, right? A little bit of designer series paper, a sentiment, we're good to go. Now for this other, I wanted to show you. One of the things I wanted to point out was people have asked me what's up with these little stamps that are inside here, these little blotches. And what they can be used for is they can be used just as, like, the speckle can be extra little stuff along the background. You can do a tone on tone. There's lots of accent things you can do with speckles. You can also use it to stamp onto the poppies. Now I stamped these 3 poppies in Memento Black. This one I used the speckles on. This one I used that watercolor splotch. And this one I colored with the Stampin' blends. This one here, I used Smoky Slate ink, and I inked up my stamp, and then I stamped it off onto a piece of scrap paper, and then stamped it a second time onto here, so that this outside line is very light. And what that allowed me to do is when I use that as my guideline for coloring with the Stampin' blends, I basically get a no-line watercolor. So if you take a look at that, the petals that I have colored, you can't even see. So it looks like I hand drew that. There is no way I could hand draw that, but I can color it and make them think I did. So give that a try. This flower here, like I said, this is done with the die cuts. And so that's these ones here. And I went ahead and I went over to my Big Shot before we got started here to kind of help speed things along. I pre-cut all my pieces. So we're going to start out with the card base. This time I'm using Gorgeous Grape. Again, 8.5, 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Again, I'm using a little scrap that was one of those things I didn't want to throw away, because I cut this to 4 by 5 1/4 to be a layer on the front. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down as my background. And then I wanted to put another layer over the top of it. Now, when we create layers, we do them every 1/4 inch. And so this outside piece is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that's the front of our card. Our major layer that we use most of the time is going to be this 4 inch by 5 1/4. Then we go down another 1/4 inch, you know, cutting it 1/4 inch off the top, 1/4 inch off the side. So this is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. But if I had put this size layer down onto here, I didn't like how that didn't give me enough of the flowers from behind. So I cut down another 1/4 inch. So now we're talking 3 1/2, 4 3/4. That's going to give me a wider border. It gives me a 1/2 inch instead of a 1/4 inch around. And then to make it even simpler, we have these stitched rectangle dies. And what this does is this gives you all those layers I was talking about. If you don't want to have to remember those numbers I was just rattling off, these dies do exactly the same thing. So I was able to take this die and cut out this layer. So this is going to be my 3 1/2 by 3 3/4, 4 3/4. See, even I can't keep it straight. But the die makes it super simple. And it also, because they're stitched, it's giving us that little dotted edge. So you can kind of see it real close to the edge. And that does that inside and outside. So I took a card base and I cut this layer out of the middle. And that gave me the stitching around my frame. And so I can, if I like, take this and put a layer behind it and have another look by using the negative that came with this. So kind of I can use all of the paper to make my card. Okay, so like I said, this is the second largest, and then the third largest was one down from it. So as you can see, I didn't use the largest one. So I did that one, and then I did this one. So I have the 2 layers. I can put one on top of each other. And that's what I did here. And I like it. I think it's pretty. I thought it was a little blank. So I thought maybe what I wanted to do was take the speckles and maybe a lighter color. Since I'm using Gorgeous Grape, maybe let's take a Highland Heather and we can splotch this in the background. Just creating some interest. And then I have the pieces to my poppy. See, these 2 layer exactly one on top of the other. And I'm going to take some liquid glue. You can use our silicone craft sheet and you can use your snail. And the silicone craft sheet makes it so that you don't have all the little spider webs off the edge. When using the snail, it kind of keeps it onto the cardstock. Or you could have been like me and saved some of that double adhesive. I used that on the centerpiece. Was it last catalog or the one before? We had adhesive sheets, and what you did with those is you peeled off one side and stuck the other to the back of your cardstock, so when you die cut your images, they're self-stick. You just peel and stick them. Kind of like those old Xyron machines we used to use back in the day, only rather than being in a machine, you just put this on manually. And so like I said, I just peeled off the back. I'm going to set that down in the middle. I also have the leaves pre-cut. And this time, I thought I would do both of the dies because they are designed to go one on top of each other. So it does give you that double look. Again, my Tombow, so I have my wiggle room. Now some of you are saying, well look, there's some extra glue there, or this one didn't totally stick. Well, that's okay. I can add more glue, and that glue that is sticking out, all you need is an adhesive remover, and then you just rub that like an eraser after it's dry, and that excess just pops right off. So we can arrange this. See, and just adding those splotches, it gave it some interesting, some interest in the background. It made it a little more pop. You could also choose to use the additional poppy. There's the one that's kind of at an angle. I wouldn't say it's not quite open, it's just not at the same angle. So they have the double dies for that. So there's the base piece and then there's the detail piece. And then there's even another center, which is tiny, so I bet you I lost it. So that little piece would go in the middle and give that a black center. And there's also an additional leaf. So if you didn't like this leaf, maybe you like this one. Oop, there's the UPS man. He's bringing me more Stampin' goodness. So there you go. How pretty is that, right? So I could glue all that down flat. I could take and glue it down with dimensionals. Couldn't find the word. I could glue it down with dimensionals, or I could even decide to do something different with this white piece. Maybe I wanted to take and give it a subtle look. I ran this through the embossing folder with the subtle embossing. So can you catch that? So that's, a real slight, maybe not enough of a difference on camera here for you to see, but I can see it in person. Or you could give it a little bit of pop. This one, what I did was I put ink on my embossing folder. I just turned my ink pad upside down and I patted it on my embossing folder on the top. And then I put my piece of paper in it and ran it through the Big Shot. So it transferred some of that ink from the embossing folder onto my cardstock. So now I have the subtle look, but I also have the Highland Heather ink, giving that subtle background a little more of a pop. I also tried it with the basket weave. So don't get confused, just start getting creative. I'm not trying to confuse you here. I'm trying to show you that just the slightest little adjustment and you can come up with a whole new card. So this is using the basket weave on that layer. Or maybe we're even going to go one step further, and baskets are kind of a tan color. So I used crumb cake and inked up my folder and embossed with the crumb cake ink. So there's any number of ideas you could do with subtle, the colored subtle, the plain basket weave, or the colored basket weave. I can put this card together with any one of those four. As I was playing with these dies, I wanted to point out this does look like the swirly bird die we used to have. It retired some time back, but this is not exactly the same thing. The swirly bird just cut out the circles by themselves. It made a great little nest. It went around sentiments or images, but this one actually has the center. So they left the center in this one. So if you wanted to maybe layer this with another white circle and put your sentiment on that, you can do that. Or you can cut it out in white and you can stamp your sentiment here. Or you could even emboss on here. Say you wanted to use gold embossing or silver embossing. That would work too. You can also take and misalign these a little bit so that when you set them down on a layer, you're going to get the dual color. I mean, so just play around. That's the fun of all this, is we get to get things out and play with them. Which one should I use? As you can see here, this I made the gorgeous grape in the background and the Highland Heather on top. I'd also cut out the reverse, so I had another one where the light was in the back and the dark in the front. So it can go either way. Now I do have the hostess code of the month there across the bottom of the screen. So if you're interested in buying this bundle, I would ask that you use that host code. And what that does is that gets you the customer appreciation PDF of the month. And I do have a challenge. I've been asked to sell 4 of those out of this catalog, and then I earn a free stamp set. Another bonus to being a demonstrator is that we get little challenges where they ask us to do something and then we win free product. Gotta love that, right? And that applies to our hobby demos as well. Say you got yourself and a couple of friends to order one, you could get a free set as well. We still need the inside of this card. Hopefully you're signed up on my newsletter and have given me your birth date, because if I have your birth date, I do send out birthday cards to everybody that's on my newsletter list with their birthday listed in there. If you're on my newsletter list and haven't gotten a birthday card in the last year, then I might not have your birthday in there. So we might need to update that. Just shoot me a little email or an IM on Facebook and I'll make sure that I have your birthday and you will get a card. I was so proud of myself that last year, every single month, I sent everybody that had given me their birthday a card. At least that was in my newsletter list. Each month I went to the newsletter list, printed it out, and mailed out my birthday cards. So, there we go. There's card number 2. So I hope you liked today's project and you're interested in coming back next week, because I will be back here next Monday at 2:30 with another Facebook Live. Thanks for joining me.